We are letting all you guys in. Thank you so much for showing up to our webinar. We're going to be talking about maximizing client retention and how to grow your brand. My name is Sara Kooperman. I'm the CEO of SCW Fitness Education, and I'm just thrilled to have with me Patrick Curley, Paul Bedford, and also Carrie Kepple. So what I'd love you all to do, if you wouldn't mind, please move your mouse, look at the bottom of your screen. There's a green share screen button. Please go to the left of that, which is the chat box. Click on that if you would. Please open it up. Tell us where you are from. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and it snowed today. Like, what was that about? We've got someone here from Kirkland, Washington, Canton, Ohio, Dallas. We've got Chris Stevenson from Los Angeles. Hi, Chris. We've got people from Pennsylvania, California, Lawrence, Kansas, Gainesville, Florida, killer, hot, and muggy. I kind of hate you, Florida. I'm just saying. I mean, nothing really against you. Oh, Marissa Hoff from LA. Okay, love it. Okay, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to read you the description of what our webinar is. I'm going to give you a quick bio on our wonderful presenters that are sharing their incredible knowledge with us today. I'm also going to thank Adam, like he's up in the sky somewhere, who is one of our amazing creative managers, and he is helping us run Zoom. So thank you, Adam. But the focus of this webinar is client retention is more important now than ever. Keeping our clients in this tough circumstances is essential for your business profitability and maintaining your career as a fitness professional. With the pandemic, the landscape has forever changed, and what has worked in February has been replaced numerous times. And as Paul mentioned earlier, before we turned the cameras on, it's been changed over and over and over again. We're joining these experts to receive the inside tips on what works now and how to implement it. And it's very exciting for us to have Carrie Kepple here. Carrie is a dear friend that I've known for
a lot of years.
Okay, she's amazing, and she's currently the IHRSA Board of Directors acting chairman. She has run clubs in New Zealand, in America. She now owns her own Styles, yes?
Studios, yeah.
Style Studios in Southern Illinois. We're welcoming her back to Illinois, to her home. So that's Carrie Kepple. We also have Paul Bedford. It's 11 o'clock in the United Kingdom. He just finished his last cup of tea, at least I hope he did. He's the fitness industry's leading expert in retention, attrition, and customer experience with nearly 3 decades of experience. You'd never know it because he looks so incredibly young. As an operator and academic, Paul's conducted research on 4.5 million customers, 4,000 facilities, on 70 different aspects of customer retention. What he doesn't know, I guess, is not worth knowing. And we have the wonderful Patrick Curley, who's actually done a lot of research that he's going to share with us this evening, and has been involved in the fitness industry for over a decade, starting his career as a personal trainer, so he's been in the trenches. And since then, he's created his own software for lead management. And through his agency, Flood Your Business Marketing, he's now serving locations all over the USA, from individual instructors and trainers all the way up to corporate facilities. So, okay, I'm out of breath. So what should we be doing right now to retain our clients? And Patrick, I'm going to start with you because I loved what you shared, the information about people opening their text messages. So I'm going to start with that.
Yeah, so the conversation that we're having earlier is, you know, psychology doesn't change, right? Because there's probably a lot of different modalities of training and different business models on this call. But what is always going to be true is that people want to feel acknowledged, they want to feel accomplished, and they want to feel like they belong. So, you know, creating milestones for your clients, whatever it may be, is super, super important. One stat that I find extremely interesting is in 2019, over 16 million Fitbits were sold. That's $1.6 billion of revenue were sold. And if you look at what they do, they basically give you 62 different types of badges just for walking. Now, I mentioned this for two different reasons. The statistics are staggering on how much revenue they did, but also the idea is extremely simple. So maybe you're an open gym type model, but using and utilizing your software, your gym management software, to figure out how often people are coming and acknowledging that. Or maybe you even want to go on the deep end and go into performance. There's something called levelmethod.com where they break down energy systems and strength and stuff like that, and bringing that to the client's attention that they're getting better. You know, what I tell my clients right now is that we're living in a time without context. We used to have a routine. We get up, we go to work, we pick up the kids from school, we do X, Y, Z, but all of that has changed. And now the only opportunity to get out of the house might be to go to the store in your place of business. So creating these types of milestones for your clients are very, very powerful. There's a book called The Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath. If you really want to go deep with this idea and start to look at your business and figure out ways to create milestones and intrinsic motivation, you should check out that book.
There we go. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, we prompted him on that. But Patrick, that's very, very valuable. You know, when you talk about we're living in an age without context, as a business owner, I'm always comparing our business to the past event, to the past responses, to a similar situation in a certain time frame. What type of business were we doing in October last year, the year before, the year before? And I sit here and I go, what the heck do I compare this to? Talk about living without context. Carrie, what do you think we should be doing right now to preserve and maintain our clients?
Yeah, you know, Sarah, it's fascinating. Just as a bit of background for all of you who don't know a bit about, we opened the doors to Style Studios Fitness in January, 8 weeks before we were shut down. We have a unique model where we took the best of the boutique studio experience, the whole world, and the traditional health club model, and we made a hybrid. So we have 4 unique, highly experiential boutique studios as our heroes with a gym floor, and we have basically a health club pricing model that keeps it really simple and easy to do business with. And maybe because I had gone through a crisis with a club before in New Zealand, we sort of accepted this thing right away. And through this crisis, we held what I call it instinctual. The first thing that I did was we had built to 500 members in 8 weeks, which was about halfway to operational break even before the legs were cut out from under us. We were joining 200 members a month easy, and we would have been there by June or July. We needed to be to get to profitability. And in that moment, I feel like it's your instinct with a family. If there's a disaster, you insulate and you protect your core first. And I feel like all the great leaders just instantly, instinctually accepted reality, protected their core, doubled down on their member experience, threw it all online and said, I'm going to look after you through this crisis, and we're going to build this community and get through it together. And coming out of it and reflecting, I think that from an approach point of view, it is a people first, payment second point of view. And I think our industry really needed that reminder that we are in this business for people first, to help them live their best lives through health and wellness, and not just fitness for vanity or to make some money. Like, if you really care for people, the money will come. And it's this whole idea of bringing back that really dialed in focus of its wellness. I'm trying to help you live your best life and extend your life for your family and your best function in life and all of those things. So the people first mindset and creating this really highly engaging and interactive community, both in person and online, because as Patrick said, living without context, we are also living in a time where we had forced social isolation, and the sense of wanting to belong has never been greater. You know, and we are creating these environments where that feeling of belonging and purpose is real, and those powerful moments, you know, and creating that for people is definitely part of our role now. And we have seen right now, we're kind of a phenomenon, I guess, from what I hear in terms of what we're capable of doing, because we've got over 90% check-ins as we did pre-COVID. I know we're still in a growth pattern, so maybe that, you know, Paul would probably say it's not totally outer limits, but we also have grown by I think 215 members during this pandemic. Even, you know, just, I mean, it's a lot slower pace, but the fact that we have growth is, I am so grateful. But I think it has a lot to do with the fact that 90% of our new members joining right now are referral based. They're referral based because we looked after people first, and we created that feeling of safety. We put in a lot of safety things, and we looked after people. Our model, though, the last thing I'll say is, pre-COVID, one of the strategic filters we used when we were creating this club is everything we chose, we put it through one question, one filter. Is it frictionless? And if it was not friction, if it was friction, it had friction for the customer, we didn't choose it. So everything we did, like everything, even down to using Disney Fast Pass type technology to frictionlessly control the lockers and your cardio equipment and all sorts of different stuff, it was all with that filter. Lo and behold, we had a pandemic, and boom, that's what people are after. So maybe we got lucky, or maybe that's just, you know, I mean, we have to be thinking, how are we going to be easy to do business with, put people first, give them great experiences, and have those powerful moments.
And that's wonderful to hear. And that's what everybody, I think, most people, a lot of instructors, a lot of trainers went up and immediately put free things up online. We're going to make it through this. You know, we're going to be open by Easter. Thank you, Trump, right? We're going to be open. All right. And we can do everything for free because we're the connectors. We're the ones that people are responding to. Interestingly enough, you have that boutique studio mentality in a large club environment, which means that you've got these individual instructors that have a very strong identity, which I'm assuming also means a strong connection to the client base.
100%.
And that's those instructors became the heroes in March and April. They were the heroes. I have never in my whole life in this industry, which frankly has been more than half of my life, 35 years I've been in this industry. Actually, I think it's more. Anyway, 35 years, I've blocked it out. I've got COVID brain. But I've never seen more appreciation for that instructor being able to build that community, which I think is probably one of the benefits and one of the strengths of what you've been able to develop. Paul, what do you see that we should be doing right now to maintain our clients?
I think if I can just go back to one of your earlier points about you've traditionally made comparisons this year to last year and so on. The things that I'm advising my clients to do is look at it weekly at the moment. So it's almost micro rather than macro. So you're saying, what's our performance like this week compared to last week, compared to the week before, and look for the trends, rather than going, I can't look at October this year against October last year because they don't look the same. So come down into much smaller blocks and see if you're getting those incremental improvements. In terms of the types of things I'm recommending, I'm saying get video testimonials. Now, I've been saying this for quite a while, but get video testimonials from your customers on the way out, because video testimonials affect 3 people. They feel good for the person giving the testimonial, and it reinforces to them, you know, I have made a choice to come here, I've worked out and I've enjoyed myself. It's good for the operator or the club because they can then use that to spread that word. But it also starts to give confidence to those people who are looking at the business and saying, I'm not sure if I'm coming back yet. I'm not 100% confident. If we say as operators, it's safe, it's clean, come back, you know, they're going to go, the skeptics are going to go, well, of course you're going to say that. You want us in your business. But if other customers are saying it, it has a much more powerful impact. And what I saw a lot of people do, I saw them do it when they first reopened after being shut down. And they did it for 1 or 2 weeks, and then it sort of faded away. I'm saying to everybody I'm working with, keep that going. You still want, if someone's only come back for the first time in 2 months today, and they had a great experience, you almost want them going, do you know what? I was a skeptic. I didn't come back straight away. I've been waiting. I've come in today and so driving that message, very, very powerful when you hear it. It's the reason why, you know, all the big websites use testimonials and reviews of products and services, because you look at a product and the next thing you do is you scroll down to see what people have said about it.
Yeah, always looking at my reviews.
Yeah.
Because what am I going to do? I'm not walking into Lululemon. It's frightening. I went to the Lululemon outlet in Rosemont. 3 hours. The wait was 3 hours. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm going. And I'm looking at all these people, and their masks are under their nose, or they're pulling it under their chin, and they're yelling at their children who are running around like, I'm out. I'm gone. But I totally agree with you. Those video testimonials are so key and so important, because it is the closest contact we're going to have with a lot of these people.
Yeah.
And they know them and they're friends with them. And another thing that worked quite well, which I thought was interesting, I don't know if any of you guys are doing this, but because everyone was wearing masks at a friend of mine, Ann Gilbert, has a wonderful, a couple of studios. They were wearing masks. They have a name badge, but they put their photograph on the name badge, and they made sure that they're wearing a name badge. Because what am I supposed to do? You can't tell who I am by my eyes, and God knows what color is my hair today. You know, we don't know. So I really like the idea of the name badge. That tended to build a little more connections. And Patrick, what was that quote or that statistic you mentioned before we turn the camera on regarding text messages, the open rate?
Yeah, so what we do with a lot of the clients that we work with, besides driving traffic into their business, is optimizing the traffic that we do bring in, and that requires communication. So it blows me away when I talk to business owners that aren't using some form of two-way SMS communication with their clients. Because basically, every time you send out a text, 90% of the people that you send it out to are going to respond in the first 3 minutes. So it's immediate communication. And when you think about who you text, right, it's generally only those who are in your close circle. So if you start to condition your members from an early basis that texting is what we're going to be doing to communicate with you, you're now in their close circle, right? And if that conversation is going and is strong, you're not going to be losing them. Like the saying goes, you know, people cancel memberships, they don't cancel relationships. So it's a really, really big deal that you're doing that. Now, if I were to recommend, you know, obviously we use our software, my software, leadfix.io. But regardless of the software that you do choose, you want to make sure it does a few things. You want to make sure it has broadcasting capabilities. You want to make sure it has tagging capabilities so that you can segment your list and make sure that you're broadcasting to certain people. And you want it to also have AI capabilities or trigger capabilities. So if people—
AI means artificial
intelligence. Yeah. So if you're, you know, sometimes we walk into, like, for example, right now, a lot of locations are trying to reopen, right? And they've got a list of, you know, maybe 400 clients that have put their memberships on hold. Well, you want to send that out ASAP. However, you're not going to be able to field all those messages coming in. So you want to make sure that you're using software that any type of positive intent, like somebody saying sure, yes, or maybe, will then trigger another campaign to get them scheduled and come in. So if you were to use any software, those would be the criteria in which I would recommend. But like I said before, if you're not using two-way SMS right now, you're really missing a huge, huge opportunity.
Right. All right, Carrie, you've been nodding your head, and I think that's because this is a form of communication that you've been using regularly.
Yeah, I totally agree in the power of SMS, and also, you know, creating those automated channels that, you know, we have an approach first where when new prospects come in, we want to make sure that they understand we're human first and we're not a bot. So the way in which we operate that with the team to ensure that they know we're not a bot. But as soon as they get into the system, you know, there's definitely positive reinforcement and other things that we utilize using SMS. I think it's super powerful, really highly sticky. I agree with that completely. One of the things that we're getting into at the moment, which I think some club operators should think about, is especially those that we're running with less active members right now than we ever have before. So we need to dial up our focus on dialing up the average yield per member, the average revenue yield per member, in something that is recurring. So for example, we have in our club a DEXA wellness office, because even pre-COVID, we wanted to bring wellness and fitness together. And we have this whole DEXA wellness office that does nutrition. It does DEXA body composition scans with wellness and health coaching and all this stuff. And we had during COVID or pre-COVID, we were selling it just ad hoc. Like you can buy a scan or a coaching session or whatever. And now we understand that to really get us through this and survive, I need to do something more along the lines of recurring revenue model with that, for example. So, you know, for X dollars a month, you become a member of the DEXA Club, which gets you a certain amount of services per year, plus a discount on other things that you buy. And we're also launching our supplement club as well, kind of like a Chewy.com, if you will. So they set their supplement reoccurring, you know. So, but I think the idea there, you know, the DEXA Club, think Massage Envy, the supplement club, think Chewy.com. But either way, and then you utilize your you know, your platforms like your SMS services and stuff to be able to dial up this engagement with these things that will ultimately help with retention, but also with recurring revenue, because right now the secondary revenue spend across the board is down because people aren't necessarily in-house right now. So we have to figure out ways in which we pull those levers in order to you know, survive this.
Yeah. And we're not getting the ancillary revenue from them forgetting their socks or their t-shirt, and then they run in and buy it. Or when they're leaving, you can say, I also have personal training that I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And we don't have that. So I'm a big fan of recurring lines of revenue. You know, Carrie, yes.
I know.
So that's key. The other thing that I found interesting is we used to get a lot of emails to, let's say, our product store, product at SCW Fit, or registration at SCW Fit. We're not seeing that anymore. They're using our little Tidio chat box. And I don't like a bot. We specifically decided I am not going to have canned answers. That drives me insane. We don't even, we have live people answering our phones. But unfortunately or fortunately, you know, you talk about these opening and closing times, but we had a huge fire in our office that totally burned our office to the ground June 3rd. I don't even know if you know this, Carrie. Lost everything. You know, the office side, not so much the warehouse side, but love the fire department smashed all the windows in the ceilings and the side. We got drenched, everything. So we had to figure out our phone system. We went to a mobile phone. And so when the pandemic came, it was like, oh, well, just go to Starbucks. You know, I mean, go home, work from home. We've got the office phone right here. So making sure that you're mobile, making sure that things are sticky, making sure that we have a recurring line of revenue, and looking at those little, like the chat boxes, the Tidio chat boxes. We've impregnated them on our sites, and it goes to help at SCW Fit, and we help them. And it really seems to be working. Paul, what other things that you see clubs doing that are helping them stay in business, are helping them open up?
This is going to sound really, really basic, but I think where they've got more staff on the floor cleaning to show that they're cleaning, they're interacting more with the customers who they used to just ignore. So they used to welcome them on the way in, leave them to get on with whatever they're going to do unless they went to group X, or if they bought PT or personal training, they teach them. But like 90% of the customers were like, fend for yourself. Now the staff are on the gym floor cleaning, they're actually interacting with those customers. And that is actually driving visit frequency. And visit frequency is a key predictor of retention. So bizarrely, the fact that they have to clean now is actually going to help them with retention, because those members of staff are cleaning and saying, do you want me to clean this when you finish? Leave it, I'll clean it off. Just those little conversations, people are feeling like, actually, I'm in this with you. We're doing this together. So just getting staff to talk to customers. And I wrote a book, which is still in the not published phase, called When Are You In Next? Because it's a question I've asked, and I've had people asking for years. When someone's leaving the club, you know, last two questions before they go out, how was your workout today? Because it follows the same format as the video in terms of they talk positively. If they talk negatively, you can address it there and then. Second question is, when will we see you next? Because we want them to prompt them their next visit. Because like almost now, like the restaurant trade, we'll only survive if they keep coming back. They won't keep paying now if they're not using. So we have to keep prompting that next visit. And just those little things can have a really big impact on the customer group that you've got.
And it's interesting because as we've had this advancement of AI, of artificial intelligence, that things can be automated, things are smoother, things are faster, we've lost that touch with people. And this has forced us, this pandemic has forced us to almost turn around and go back to where we were, which is because they crave it and our staffs crave it. We crave it.
So I worked with an operator and we increased their revenue by 35% over a 2-year period. The first piece of work we did was teaching all the staff, you know, and giving them the confidence enough to talk to any customer that walked in. Then we added a layer of AI, online coaching, and that drove them in, and it grew the business significantly and people stayed longer. A lot of people came to me and said, oh, can we just have the technology part? And I said, no, you need the other part as well, because if you just drive more people to the club and it's a poor experience, they'll churn even faster. So you have to lift the level of the experience within the club, which is, I guess, what Carrie's describing in her site, before you volumize that business, because otherwise you'll just churn through your customers quicker than you were previously.
Yes, definitely. Patrick, what do you think the steps are that if your club is still closed and you're preparing to open, or what's happening now, frankly, in Illinois on Wednesday, all the restaurants are closed. So you want to know where my husband is? He's out with his buddies at a restaurant. I'm like, great. Would you just wear a mask? I have no idea what he's going to come home with or when. But what we're going to open, we're going to close, we're going to open again.
Right.
What are the steps you think that we can advise our business owners?
Yeah. So before I do answer that, I want to just touch on one thing. It's tactics with everything that we were just talking about, because each one of you said something specifically to how we employ the two-way text with retention. And if you order an Uber, or if you order DoorDash or Grubhub, you know what an automated text looks like, right? So when email first came out, it was hot. Everybody was like, it was a big deal. You could make money off of email, but now people ignore their email because there's so much spam, right? So the point I want to make is that AI is important, automation is important, but you want to make sure that your automation is personalized. And there's things now like custom values. For example, you could put in somebody's goal, like, hey, Sarah, I just wanted to check in with you of your goal of staying more motivated, right? But it's important that, like you said, Sarah, where you actually have a staff or yourself fielding those, so you do have that connection, and utilizing technology so it does appear personal. So those who are listening that may not be techie, I assure you there are ways to make that easy, but that the way that you employ those methods are very, very important. Okay, so to answer your question, we're reopening, what can we do, right? Well, a lot of the clients that I'm working with, they're in some capacity working outdoors. So if you can do that, do it. I mean, I was actually driving down the freeway and I noticed there was a CVS parking lot with an F-45 with tents, and apparently they must be renting out that parking lot. So if you are a physical business and you're not really into virtual, then you got to kind of get tough and figure out where you want to relocate, because your clients will follow you, but you got to do your due diligence to figure out where to go and how to do it. I mentioned earlier, before we even started this Zoom call, that I have a client who signed a lease on a second building that they cannot even walk into because they're doing so well on their outside boot camps, right? So because they're being flexible with their approach and staying strong during this challenging time, they're getting in new leads, they're getting in new customers. So there's a lot of opportunity. I would say that if you're virtual, and I'm going to go back to my first point, you have to keep that novelty going, right? Because what we're seeing with statistics are that people will show up to a Zoom class, for example, and then the numbers start to die down. Well, what are you doing to acknowledge the fact that they're showing up to these virtual classes? So you have to ask yourself, number one, how am I making this special? How am I creating an experience? But also, how am I acknowledging and creating milestones for those people coming in? So yeah, like I said before, if you are reopening, then you should be broadcasting to the members that you've currently had, and you should be hitting your entire database with emails and text messages, making sure that you're not only letting them know that you are open, but you're providing a different type of service. You want to differentiate yourself. How are we different from another gym? We're cleaner, our experience is different. This is the steps that we're taking right now to prevent the spread of COVID. The last thing I will say is that we've seen a huge spike in demand for personal training. So if you're a group facility that specializes in group classes, you may want to consider what we call a hybrid membership, where you're selling a package of classes plus supplemental personal training, or open up just personal training, because you're going to see, and I'm sure everybody on this call will agree with, the fact that personal training clients will stay with you way longer than it comes to group. So not only utilizing technology, but taking a really good look at your business model and asking yourself, what does the market want right now, and how can I meet them halfway?
That's great. That's very interesting. Now, Carrie, you've got these 4 different studios, these 4 pods of contacts. I'm wondering, do you have personal training that you're doing with your clients?
Yeah,
or
but we took an approach where I'm of a mindset that I think and sorry if I offend anybody on here, but I've worked in gyms where we tried to stack the teams of personal trainers, just looking at the opportunity of revenue, and it's just been destructive to the culture because they can't fill up and they can't get full, and it's a fight, and they leave, and anyway, it's always been kind of a destructive environment when handled poorly. So we knew, being a small we were opening studios, and class experiences are our unique selling point. So we hang our hat on that. Our gym floor becomes secondary. Although it is a fantastic, hot, slick gym floor with brand new equipment, we put one very highly qualified, very amazing personal trainer in there. And during COVID, we put her in virtual PT sessions for the members just as much as we did virtual classes. Post-COVID, she's full. And now we're looking for a second trainer to now fill up. But I'm taking the slowly approach because it's a culture thing. And in my view, that you have to ride that delicately. With the studios, one thing that is, 2 things actually, why our classes are, like, we have obviously had to put a limit on our capacity. We use a lot of tech, like I said, frictionless. So we have a club app that is very highly member focused, and that's where they can book their classes. They have their own weekly schedule. They can cancel their classes. But when they book their classes in our app, they can see how many other people are booked with them. They can see the capacity, and they have control. So that feeling of control, and if I don't want to go to a class that has 10 people in it, if I want to look for something that's virtual in the middle of the day that has 1 or 2, because I feel better about that, I have the control to do that. And I think that autonomy has really empowered people. So couple that with the fact that we have a highly immersive experience in our boutiques. We run live and virtual classes all day long. And the virtual, we have it set up so hot that it's like it's coming to the fitness movies. So it's literally larger than life. And you come in, you get your equipment, it's like coming to the fitness movies, and people dig it. They dig it now more than they ever have because of COVID. And so we see, especially couple that with the fact that people work from home these days, and we see an even spread. We're no longer breaching overcrowding in the hot pockets of the day. We have a more even spread throughout the day because virtual has allowed us to sort of turn the tables in our restaurant faster, so to speak. So we're not just trying to cram everyone in. You get the overcrowding effect, you dial up the attrition because of that. Like, we're just able to create these experiences all day. And I think that's those things, like that control in your booking and having those virtual options coupled with live, have been amazing to, you know, to that driving that visit frequency. And, you know, it's all part of it.
And it's building that personal experience, which really,
yeah, it totally is.
Customized.
And so I will say too, you know, we went virtual right away. Every day of COVID lockdown, we did classes, we did virtual PT, we did mental fitness things, we did nutrition stuff for our members, all, like, even on Easter, we were in there doing them, you know, for our people. And it sounds silly, but right away we're like, well, the day before lockdown, we said to all of our members through our app channel where it's not distracted, we said, right, we have a lockdown Facebook group just for members only. Get on it now. That's where, for the start, we're going to be feeding you all of your live stream stuff throughout this until we get a better platform. But what's happened is that became the most highly sticky, interactive thing. If you can't be in this group if you're not a member, and I swear to God, it's hilarious. You should see people still to this day. I mean, they are talking, posting, wanting to do stuff, like coming to the club together, you know, and it's led to this beast of a community, you know, that now is pulling their friends and family in with them like magnets. And so you create that sense of belonging in that community for people, like these guys have said, and couple that with technology and, you know, you kind of got a winning formula.
And we did get a question from Nicole. How would you set up the package for group and PT? Like, I think Patrick, you brought it up, or Paul, someone respond?
Really, that it depends on your pricing model, but we don't recommend, you know, going anywhere below 80 to 85% of your traditional PT rate. But essentially, what we're doing there is you're just raising the overall price, or I should say value, of that client, and drastically increasing the retention of the client by doing the hybrid model. I know Paul maybe has a different opinion on it.
I've got something different to add. It's not a contradiction, but
Please do.
All the data we have around, like we did a study of a business that had 800,000 customers, and we knew who did personal training within the business. And two things came out of that I think are of value. One is 10% of people who buy personal training buy at point of sale. 20% buy it, 30% buy it in months 2 to 5, but 60% of people who bought personal training bought it after 6 months of membership. So often what we see with the trainers is the trainers want to see all the new members and the new customers to try and sell them. And if they don't buy, they leave them alone. Actually, the biggest harvest for potential clients are in those people who've gone on their own for 6 months, not really got their results, and are now looking for help and support. And we call that last roll of the dice. They're like, I'm going to buy some personal training to see if I can make this work for me. The other thing that we saw, which is really strong in the data, people who, if you sell personal training set day, set time, you probably get an extra 50 sessions from a person. If you say Tuesday night, 6 o'clock, Thursday night, 6 o'clock, those are your diet times, not ad hoc. In fact, ad hoc PT, when people come at various times during the week, at different times each week, they don't even stay as long as people who don't have PT. So in terms of packaging, and I'm not a marketing person, but I would package, you're buying this day and this time with this trainer, because then once that becomes established, everybody knows, you know, if I'm training and Chris is my trainer and I'm like, Tuesday and Thursday night, someone says, do you fancy coming for a drink after work? Oh no, you can't. You're training with Chris. People, it becomes this fixed date in people's diary. And we know that routine is really, really key to holding on to customers.
Yes, that's true. Carrie, you're nodding. I'm assuming that means
I just love all these, what these guys are saying. They're geniuses. So I keep nodding. So, but no, I think you're absolutely right about the fixed day, fixed time. I mean, that's essentially why classes work. When, you know, same kind of concept. Just apply it to personal training. It makes so much sense.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, people want that accountability.
Definitely. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
I think the other thing that classes do that most personal trainers don't do is they don't productize their service. So Carrie mentioned you've got the 3D scanner and you've got the supplement thing. Actually create a product that is, you know, and I'm going to make this up as we talk, but it's like Styles PT. This is how you do PT if you do it through Styles. That, first of all, gives you a differentiator, but then it also feels much more like a thing than a service. I'm buying this product, which happens to be training with this #1 trainer twice a week. I get my supplements, I get my thing, but productize it rather than just go, I do personal training, because lots of people do personal training, and you know, all you get from the personal trainers is, oh, I've done twist training, I've done check training, I've done this training, that training. It's like, no, turn it into a product and sell the product.
Awesome.
Interesting. If people are able to follow these strategies, okay, how long do you think it will take before they're going to see the results? I think, Patrick, you were sharing some information on one of your clients that basically owed everybody money and didn't have any money. And
Yeah. This was an interesting conversation initially. The last client I signed, the youngest client I had, basically maxed out all of his credit cards, and then you stack COVID on top of it, and it was just a really rough situation. So zero money to invest in our service, but I knew going into it statistics that we've seen from other gyms that we've provided services for. So with the numbers that he had of active members, we were able to actually crunch the numbers and tell him how much we could make on some internal campaigns that we send out. So anyways, short of the long was he was able to now do marketing and bring leads in the door from those campaigns. So I think the question, sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but I think the question that you asked was, how fast can you see results from some of these tactics? And I would say immediately. Listen, if you're sending out a text message and you're getting a text message back, that means that you're in conversation with these people and that they can see that you care, that you're checking in with them. And it's going to make all the difference. I'm glad that Carrie brought up the whole Facebook group. I can't believe I didn't mention that. That's my world. But Facebook groups are so crucial because it creates a very easy to use forum. And right now, because of COVID, there are more people spending more time on social media than ever. So there's a huge opportunity for you to create an enrollment in your community and get them integrated into that conversation. And you know, we're busy, we're doing this and that, and like Carrie said, you know, they're posting and they're more active than probably she is in the group, right? And that's exactly what you want when it comes to your tribe or your community.
Can I ask, Patrick, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When I work with a lot of operators and I look at their Facebook groups, what I see is it's just another sales platform, and it's just post after post, 24-hour sale, get this class discounted, get this discounted. There is no sense of community, and they go, oh, people don't engage with us. And I'm like, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't engage with you. Do you see something similar?
I have seen that. That's a very good point that you bring up. The way that I explain it to the business owners that I'm working with is that you want to put all of the content inside of your Facebook group that people who are outside of that conversation wouldn't normally care about, right? So, you know, I do marketing for CrossFit, for example, and it's a very high intense, advanced modality of training. So we call them fire breathers, those who are super, super fit. You don't want to be posting that on your business page because that's extremely intimidating to the general population. However, it's very relevant to your member base who are already doing business with you. So your Facebook group is a great place to post that stuff in. So there is also what you call a units section in your Facebook group. This is a place where you can put educational components. So instead of, everybody who knows sales knows that sales is basically just educating the prospect in front of you how you can help with the problem that may be experiencing. So if it's done in a tasteful way, the units section could be an opportunity to open up mobility, stretching, yoga, supplements, nutrition, anything that you can provide. But first, you want to make sure that you're educating them. And the Facebook group is a beautiful, beautiful platform to actually do that.
And Carrie,
I
you were
just
going to
add, yeah, because so here's the way we do it. We have our club Facebook, which is external facing, and then we have a locked down private group to our members, which is internal facing. So Paul, what you were talking about, which was the selling approach, yeah, like if we do any kind, we don't do dirty retail. I don't mess with my prices. If anything, we do value adds or other fun things, but I put that stuff external, and the whole other conversation that ensues internally is totally about community engagement, interaction, club events, people are posting about, not just their workouts, but they post funny memes to each other, and they're like, that class was awesome today, who else's legs are burning, all this stuff. They're now just doing it. And it's like, it's all internal facing, and there's something about them knowing nobody else could see this, like this whole thing is hilarious. And then they can tell that everything we post external, they're like, that's awesome. And now they're sharing that. I mean, our reviews and our shares, like we'll put something external and our members just light it up like a Christmas tree. They share it, like we'll get 20, 30 shares easily on something, people trying to drag other people in, but it comes from that private thing that we created. It's just exclusively
and then
theirs.
They pull it all together themselves, and they become their own advertising, and it's this junk community. I can't believe we're out of time. I can't even believe we're out of time. I like looking at my phone. I'm like, okay, Adam's got to give his daughter a bath. So it's bath time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to end this webinar with a fun video. So we're gonna go and do a fun video here. So here we go, guys. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Patrick. I really, really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you all at Livestream Mania and our Health and Business Summit. So thank you for joining us, and thanks, Adam.